Welcome to Idle Prattle, the unofficial Disney podcast where we will blabber about every movie in order.
We'll share our thoughts on animation, music, cultural relevance, and more.
So take a gulp and take a breath as we dive deep into the world of Disney.
Yes, let's jump.
Jump right in to the water.
Let's do one jump ahead of the bread line.
One jump ahead of the bread line.
That's how
we're not
fast I
there
want to
yet.
jump. But we're almost there.
Almost there.
Almost there.
I'm not clever enough to come up with the next
We
line.
need to
I
make
just
a
wanna
TikTok
repeat.
of us just having a conversation.
Did we make a TikTok?
We did make a TikTok twice,
Almost
and then I
there.
never made another. They're
Wow.
hard. They take forever to make. I don't understand. How
Well,
do people
because
make
you're not
TikToks?
dancing to something stupid. So
Yeah, sometimes
what you
people
did was
like
more.
don't put like minimal effort,
Yeah, you're not
or
doing-
the opposite thing is like they don't work. Like
Right.
they're TikTok influencers
is their
as
job.
like a full-time thing. Like that's what they do.
So they can spend 4 hours making a TikTok
Yeah.
and not worry
Where they dance.
like me. Yeah. Well, don't follow us on TikTok. All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Idle Prattle, another mailbag episode.
I've got Whosits and Whatsits
Whatsits
galore.
galore.
And those Whosits are in the form of your mail.
Yes.
And the Whatsits are everything else.
Oh my gosh, it has been so long since we've done a mailbag because the Silver Age is long.
It's like Monstro the Whale.
It
It's
really
huge.
is. It's huge. Yeah, we've done... What is so funny?
I don't know. The whale
His speech.
reference took me a second to process, and then it just made me laugh.
We have done 8 movies since our last mailbag.
Whew.
And a couple of bonuses.
And a couple of bonuses.
We've had guests. We've had thoughts. We've had discussions. We've had some fights.
We've had epiphanies,
We've had epiphanies.
revelations.
We've had denial.
We've gone through all the stages of grief.
We have every single stage over the course of the last 8 episodes. So thank you for sticking with us if you are listening today. So do we just want to recap the movies?
So we took care of Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, Sleeping Beauty, 101 Dalmatians, The Sword in the Stone.
Sword in the Stone!
Yeah, we're going to put that in there. And The Jungle Book.
There are some awesome ones in there.
There are some awesome ones.
And some poop turds.
Yeah.
Birds! No!
Okay, well, let's
God.
we have a lot to cover because we actually have a lot of write-ins, which is awesome, and we have some first-timers, which is also awesome.
Yay! Welcome, welcome. We love you.
Welcome. So we like to start our mailbags and many of our episodes actually with a good game of this or that.
This or that. You've
are
done
on
that
it.
jingle before.
I have.
This or that. Yeah.
Have I?
I have.
One of you has. Okay.
We can't tell us
Wow,
apart.
we can
We're the
tell
same
only
person,
people apart.
essentially. Apparently.
Well, anyway.
How many people have told y'all that Eli and I sound exactly the same?
Everyone. My
I
own
mean,
family.
I just can tell when people are like, hey, tell Chris this or tell Eli this. And I was like, I think you're referring to the other person.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we got a question that was like, this is for Eli. And I was like, I never talked about that once. I was like, but cool.
Well, sorry, listeners, if you can't tell who we are.
One of you needs to speak in your falsetto and one needs to speak in your
I'll
bass.
just
Since
do a
I
British
don't even know
accent.
what
I'm
those-
really good at it.
No!
Apparently, being good at accents is a huge deal in Hollywood today. Okay, so
this
we're
or
gonna.
that.
This is called Life's Full of Tough Choices, isn't it? My first this or that is inspired by the new Villainous board game expansion that came out. More on that later. But for right now, I wanted to see which villainous character would you want in the next expansion? Shere Khan or Madame Mim?
Oh, please. First of all, both. But Madam Mim.
Okay.
Obviously.
Chris?
Shere Khan, if I had to pick
Okay.
between the two of them. But I want them both.
Picking Shere Khan is just sheer stupidity.
Whoa.
What about you, Abigail?
I would pick Madame Mim mostly because I know her little figurine thing would be
yeah.
purple.
Ugh,
Everything would be so purple.
good.
It would be so purple.
She's such a goofball.
I love
and I
that.
would love to see those game creators try to like sift the little bits of her character
Into a board game.
Yeah.
Okay, what? They got it.
Okay.
We got it. It's gonna be good. She's gonna be in it.
Okay, my this or that is, which pup would you rather adopt? Lady or Nana?
Nana.
Nana.
Yeah. Lady's pretentious to me.
Oh.
I liked her as a puppy.
Abigail.
Well,
choose
with all that
carefully.
being said, lady.
I didn't mean like she's not awful. I just would rather. I want a maid dog.
If the dog in question can do all the things Nana can, then I'll pick Nana. But if it's just like a real dog, then I
Hey,
would pick
listen.
Lady.
Lady was getting the paper, and
That's
she was
true.
like,
Touche.
fighting rats, and yeah, both of them were pretty competent.
It's quite true.
Nana can fly.
I don't think she
I don't
wanted to
think
do that.
Okay. I'm going to go with the dog question too, but it'll be different. Would you rather have all 101 of the Dalmatians or every dog in the pound from Lady and the Tramp?
Oh my god! Every dog in the pound from Lady and
Yeah?
the Tramp. Yeah.
Every Dalmatian.
Oh, I forgot I had to pick my own answer. I think I would do the Dalmatians too.
Guys, Dalmatians are mean when they grow up.
Well, I would train them to be nice.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I might be judging them unfairly, but I mean, there's a
on
lot
their
of stigma
spots.
around like pit bulls, and I love
That's
pit
true.
bulls.
Right,
so-
yeah. Francesca, our Cinderella guest, has a pit bull, and she's the sweetest dog I've ever seen.
All right, so Megan wrote in and said, who would you rather have as a grandparent, the fairy godmother or Merlin?
Oh.
I like this one.
I like this too. I'm gonna go with the fairy godmother. She seems a little less destructive. I feel like Merlin would get me into some trouble, and I feel like the fairy godmother is like kooky but harmless.
This is a stressful question for me.
I bet it is.
This is hard because I low key see them as a couple in my head anyway. You know what? I'm gonna go. This is where we're gonna go, and it might get deep and it might get real, but apparently that's my job here. So, I have a wonderful grandmother, and she like makes up for all the not great grandparent figures I have. So I'm gonna choose Merlin.
Because you have a solid grandmother, right?
Yeah, like I don't. My grandma is a fairy godmother. I love her so much. I'm not
Grams.
like yeah.
That's
She's
so
already
sweet.
magical. I'm gonna go with Merlin.
I would go with Merlin because I like the kookiness of grandparents. So I would love to have like a kooky grandpa. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah writes in, you're on an adventure. Would you rather run into the Cheshire Cat or Ka?
God, that's stressful too.
I don't think it's stressful. I would do Cheshire Cat.
I would also do Cheshire
See,
Cat.
okay, that's my go-to, but then think about like reality. Like you see a big snake, and you're like, I know what that is, at least.
And
Yeah,
it's
it's a big
terrifying.
snake.
And it's terrifying, yeah. But imagine seeing that cat.
There's
I would be
nothing
more-
that cat would do to me that would be as threatening as a snake that wraps its whole body around you.
Well, do we have to get touched by the things?
Not necessarily.
I mean, I would run.
One
if I-
wants to eat you, and one is just goofy.
I'm not convinced that cat didn't want to eat her. Okay. Our next one is from Chris S. He says, would you rather cuddle with Yzma or Cruella?
Ew. Neither.
We're gay.
Okay, let's put it in this way. You are freezing,
Okay.
and you have to cuddle up to somebody for warmth.
Does
Would
Cruella have the giant fur coat in
I
this
think
scenario?
that may be what we're getting at here is because they both have like cuddly outfits. And I'm going to go with
And not cuddly bodies. Because
Right.
they are like angular.
I'm going to go with Yzma though. I use her feathers as like a pillow.
Okay, I'm going to go with Yzma because I would request that she go into cat form, and then I know Kronk is not far behind, and he's a very cuddly person.
Oh wow.
yeah.
So you're just getting to Kronk.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much. And his squirrel. I'm trying to get as much warmth around me as
Right.
possible. And also, I just really don't believe in getting warmth from the carcass of a dead animal or their fur. So
When was
that's
that?
why.
Oh, Cruella.
Cruella.
I was like, what are we talking about?
So that's why I wouldn't do Cruella.
Okay. I'm also going with Yzma. Similar reasons. I also just think, I know she's trying to kill somebody, but I honestly think Yzma is less of a threat
Right.
than Cruella.
Yeah, because she's not trying to kill you.
No.
So Sarah asked, which song do you like more? So This Is Love, which is from Cinderella, or 10 Minutes Ago, which is from Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella.
10 minutes ago, hands down, period, we're done.
Second that.
All right, I third that.
I'm actually surprised because
I
you
know.
love
Let's
So This Is
go, we
Love.
got
I do.
her.
And this was really hard for me. I do see them as that's a really tough one.
That's a
Right.
really good this
But
or that,
10
Sarah.
minutes ago is like really like prime Broadway. It's so good.
It's so good. If you don't know that song, listen to Brandy sing it.
And the guy.
Christopher Powell.
Whatever his name is.
Okay. This is another question from Chris S., who says, would you rather arm wrestle with Gaston or play chess with the Queen of Hearts?
Oh, I'm going to go the route that Abigail took, and I'll arm wrestle with Gaston just so I could feel his arm. Oh, he's evil,
He
but
is
that
When
doesn't...
you arm
misogynist.
wrestle, you really only feel a hand.
I'm not feeling... Yeah, but I would, you know.
Okay. I'm going to go with playing chess with the Queen of Hearts because I feel like at least I would stand a chance.
Yeah, I think I would arm wrestle with Gaston and just let him win and just walk away.
I would say I don't want to stand a chance. I want him to just, take me down.
Oh.
I mean, I would probably try to beat him, but I think he's pretty
Do you
strong.
eat 12 dozen eggs every morning?
See, I pass on that, so that's where I went wrong. Yeah.
So Chris has also asked specifically for those of us that love Kingdom Hearts, do you prefer Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2?
I prefer the story of Kingdom Hearts 1. I think it's straightforward, and I think it's super fun, and it's great. And I think that the gameplay is a little better in Kingdom Hearts 2.
How many Kingdom Hearts are there?
There's 3 main games, but then there's like
Little side games.
5 like games that came out on like other formats. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't finished Kingdom Hearts 2. Like I'm not as versed in it as Chris was. So I'm gonna pick 1. But I'm going to add 3 in here because 3 features Tangled. So it automatically makes it my favorite, even though I've only played the first level.
Dylan asked, would you rather hang out with the fairy godmother or Flora? And this is a good question because both are voiced by Vernon Felton.
Oh. Good job, Dylan.
For me, it would be fairy godmother because I think Flora is kind of bossy.
I agree.
And fairy godmother is pretty helpful. She's sassy, but I think she's a sweetie.
I'm going to relate it to real life. And I know a bunch of Floras, and I get along with them real well. So I'm just going to go with Flora.
I'll go with Fairy Godmother for the same reasons, Abigail. Okay, and then the last this or that is from Garth, who asks, which prince would you pick to come to your rescue? Prince Charming from Cinderella 3 or Prince Philip?
I think I know what Abigail's going to say.
That's a great question, Garth.
That is a very good question, and I think we're going to get divided. This might break our podcast. I'm going with Cinderella 3, Prince Charming.
I'm definitely Prince Philip.
Well, yeah, I figured you would be.
He is my favorite prince. It's not gonna matter.
Right.
Anybody else?
I just got to stand by the movie that I brought to us in good favor. And
I'm also going with Prince Philip. So
okay, I like the way you said it. Was like obviously that's the answer.
Even though I think that Prince Charming in Cinderella 3 definitely is way more of a contender to
Yes.
Prince Philip than
Right,
him in Cinderella.
makes it a harder question.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Am I just missing the Philip factor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, well, those were some great this or that's. Thank you for everybody who wrote in. And we have more mailbag submissions from you all coming up in a little bit. But first, we're going to move on to our next section, which is called Be Prepared.
Because we are not.
That's right. You may have noticed a couple of times while we are recording our podcast, sometimes we just don't know the answer to something because as hard as we try, we are not experts.
Or we think we do know the answer.
Right.
Oh, that
and
too.
It is completely wrong.
And we confidently say it like over and over again.
We are loud, proud, and wrong. So we're going to address some of those moments from the last 8 episodes here. Abigail, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So, in reviewing Cinderella, our episode of Cinderella, when speaking about the debt that Disney was in from the wartime era, Eli,
Oh no.
gets a scar, said this. There were $4 million in debt, but I fact-checked that, and the quote is, following the theatrical release of Fun and Fancy Free, Walt Disney Productions' bank debt declined from $4.2 million to $3 million. So you were one number off. They were $3 million in debt.
Gotcha. I mean, I feel a little scratched.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I got scarred.
That's fine. All right, so the next scar is given to me. So I was talking about the original work of Cinderella, and I said this. It was written by Charles Perrault. When reflecting on the name and the pronunciation, because Charles Perrault is a Frenchman, it is pronounced Perrault and not Perrault.
Can you say scar in French?
Le scar.
So does that give you a double scar for saying it wrong in Sleeping Beauty again?
Yep.
Nice.
It's a pretty intense scar. But I think you all get scratches for not correcting me.
Well, I didn't know.
I think we might have also said Peralt at some point.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, scars all around.
Scars all around.
I take scratches.
And we also, all of us, contributed to a slight scar on the origin story. We kind of were saying that Brothers Grimm was written first. We kept referring to it as, like I said the quote, Perrault's version took the grimness out of the story. Mm-hmm. But actually, Perrault's version was written in 1697 and the Brothers Grimm version was published in 1812. So I should have said the Grimm brothers placed grimness into the story. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah,
so
makes sense.
we were flipping it. We were saying the Grimm brothers wrote Cinderella first, but it's they actually wrote their version of Cinderella about 100 years later.
Right.
Yeah.
The origin of that one was a little hard to follow. Yeah. So.
Yeah. The next movie we covered was Alice in Wonderland. And just a slight scar, I referred to the song The Golden Afternoon, but it is actually called All in the Golden Afternoon.
Ah.
How dare you?
Sorry.
Scar.
And then I just, in reflection and doing my homework, I was told to watch Alice in Wonderland, the movie, the 1999 version with Alice in a yellow dress. And I'm not going to watch that because I watched a clip of Whoopi Goldberg as a cat and
That's the best part.
Hard pass based on what?
Okay, I will say we made a big claim. We said that was like the equivalent of the Brandy
You
Cinderella.
guys said it was like the best version of Alice in Wonderland and that it was equivalent.
Now, I haven't watched it since I was like 7 or 8. So we might be wrong. So I'm not gonna defend it wholeheartedly.
Okay,
but I do remember Whoopi Goldberg as a cat was like, heck yeah.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of those RuPaul skits that they do where they like put somebody's face in a circle or like Kenan Thompson as a tree.
Yeah, no.
That's what it reminded me of.
Okay,
but
fine.
Whoopi Goldberg's face was in the hole of
It's just on a cat.
Okay.
Oh, it was
Here's what's going to
terrible.
happen. Before our next mailbag, I will rewatch this film. And on our next mailbag, you listeners have the delight. You get to look forward to us having a deeper conversation about this.
Yeah, I feel like we should maybe make this like a bonus episode to the mailbag or something.
Right, that'd be
And
kind of fun.
I think we need to have some wine around
Okay.
Right.
just for my sanity. The next movie was Peter Pan, and Chris said, "Be prepared," which was a way of me recognizing that I needed to look up this fact. Okay, so we were talking about the award given to Peter Pan, or lack thereof. Eli asked Chris this: did Peter Pan get an award, or was it the first one that ever didn't get an award, an Academy Award? And so I looked into this. So if we are talking strictly feature films, and we are not counting the 4 wartime era package films, then that is correct. And we also need to account for the fact that Fantasia did not get nominated for an award for like best score or whatever. It received an Academy Honorary Award, which is the same kind of award Snow White got a year later.
Okay.
So if we are saying that for getting rid of the wartime era movies and that honorary award counts, then we were correct in saying that Peter Pan was the first feature-length film not to be nominated for an Academy Award.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
In that same conversation, Chris asked this: did Snow White get nominated in the year that it came out? And I said no. But in fact, Snow White was nominated for Best Score, which we probably said correctly in that episode.
I'm sure
but
we
I think
did.
we forgot. So,
There's a lot of facts to remember, people.
yeah.
We're trying our best.
So Snow White did get nominated but didn't win for Best Score, and then also got an Academy Honorary Award the next year.
Okay.
And then just a scar on us for not sharing things on social media. Chris said he would share the cover of his books that he wrote about Captain Hook, and he never did. And I know you guys have been knocking down our doors, wondering where that is. And I just want to let you know it's coming. I promise.
I thought I could get away.
I also have that on my scar list, even though I didn't even scar that movie.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but you just reminded me. I have another scar for Peter Pan real quick.
Okay.
I did say that Jordan Hart is the only person to ever read that book. And then my dear friend Adina, who listens to every episode of this podcast, said, the Adina erasure is real. Because we were friends. We've been friends since we were in 6th grade. And she actually proofread that whole book for me, which I forgot about. So I told her that I would give her a little shout out. There you go, Adina.
Adina,
Hey.
you are seen, you are heard, and you're appreciated for reading through Chris's literary masterpiece.
Adina gets whatever the reverse of a scar is. A Mufasa.
Oh. A golden Mufasa.
A Golden Mufasa Award. The inaugural Golden Mufasa Award goes to Adina.
That's all for me.
Okay, I'm going to continue this scar train that we're on with Lady and the Tramp. And speaking of awards, the only scar that we have in Lady and the Tramp is one that I thought was a really big one for Chris, because he says this.
I'm very interested.
Lady and the Tramp was not nominated for an Academy Award, but it was nominated for a BAFTA. And he goes on to say that it lost to Blankety Blank, which I took as he didn't know the name of the movie and was saying blankety blank, fill in the blank later on the mailbag. So I got out my little notes, and come to find out, when I looked up what the movie that won that BAFTA, it's called Blankety Blank. That's the name of the movie. So I scarred myself in the worst way as I was trying to scar you.
Yes, no, the movie
because
is
for
actually
months
called
now, I thought that you were just saying
Blankety
blankety blank movie.
No, it's actually
literally
called that.
I couldn't believe it. I looked it up and it just said blankety blank, and I said, oh. So imagine the feeling I had when that happened. Moving on to Sleeping Beauty, we talk about how Abigail watched the beginning of Maleficent 2, thinking it was Maleficent 1.
Oh, yes.
And then she said that Maleficent 1 is now on Disney Plus, but it is not. It's still not on Disney Plus.
Nope.
Granted, Abigail caught this herself and scarred herself
Because I
before
was
this.
looking for it. I still
Right.
want to watch it.
You can borrow mine.
I asked you for it.
Did I? Well, it
Ooh.
did, okay.
Scar! Scar you!
Eli gets a scar.
Give me a little episode.
Okay, that'll happen. I will get Maleficent to you somehow, some way. Going on, the next thing we said was another scar on me. God, this is not fun. This entire time, I thought that they were saying scrumps in this movie when they're singing and toasting to each other. The king and the other king. It's scumps. Thought it was scrumps. It's scumps. We talked about what that means, and Abigail said that she thinks it's just about toasting, which you're not far off. It comes from like another word, like scampana, which is sparkling wine or champagne. But yeah, it's basically about toasting. So they're singing about the wine they're drinking.
Good to know.
And another thing, Chris calls the Raven Diablo, which is his name. You're right. It's just that he was not named in the movie. His name is like retcon later to be Diablo, and I just think that's interesting because
I'm surprised we didn't bring that up in the episode.
I think we were talking about so much stuff. Because it was brought to my attention first because we played Villainous, and his card on Villainous is just the Raven. It's not Diablo, and I'm like, well, that's weird.
I was wondering if the Lost Boys were also retconned. Their names were retconned. Because when I listed them out, I didn't realize that those names were said in Return to Neverland. And so it would make sense that if they weren't given in Peter Pan, that they were retconned into...
It's very true. They are named in Return to Neverland.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to 101 Dalmatians. I have 101 scars. I'm just kidding. There's only 2. This isn't even a scar, actually. I just, it was an interesting contrast, I thought, that our first guest, Francesca, she talked about how she loves Disney and Disney's always been in her world, except we gave her a scar for not watching Frozen 2 yet. And then I thought it was interesting because in 101 Dalmatians we had Christopher, who was not obsessed with Disney as we all were, but he loves Frozen 2. So I was just like, that's pretty interesting to have
The juxtaposition.
Right.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. The only other thing is that, Abigail, you mentioned that you thought the Twilight Bark was mentioned in Lady and the Tramp. I literally couldn't find it anywhere. So it might be a thing, but the only thing I could find about Twilight Bark with Lady and the Tramp is the fact that Lady and the Tramp show up in it during that sequence, like we talked about.
Okay.
So maybe if we find that later, we can talk about it. But I like really looked for it and I couldn't find it. And Sword in the Stone. This is the big one.
Sword in the Stone!
Sword in the
Oh,
stone.
I'm glad that you said that.
Oh, fart.
Because as we talked about the way that Sword in the Stone is said, not only was Abigail scarred because she said it wrong then, she specifically said that Sex in the City, the column in the show, is called Sex in the City, and the show is called Sex and the City. It is not. The column is definitely called Sex and the City as well. So,
I struggle with prepositions and conjunctions. What can I say?
We love you.
Thank you.
we talked about Mudmouth a lot because I had it. You guys didn't know what it was. I looked up Mudmouth just to see what came up. I do not encourage you to do the same thing. I found one Urban Dictionary definition that says, when you've been out in the desert so long that you accumulate mud in the corners of your mouth caused by dirt accumulation and sweat, which is pretty similar to what I was saying. Not totally, you know.
Is dust from a factory
No,
the
let's
same
check
as
it. Let's-
desert
Listen,
sand?
he's from out west.
I
so
am.
they have
I
like a
lived in the
different-
desert for 10 years, so this
Okay.
may be why I started getting it.
Us North Carolinians
You
don't
don't
understand.
understand. But like, if we just change, when you've been in the factory so long that you accumulate mud in the corners of your mouth caused by dust and sweat. There we go. Mud mouth. It's a thing. It's on Urban Dictionary. Oh, and Cottonmouth, for your credit, Abigail, it did sound a little bit similar to it, but it definitely sounds more like dry mouth.
Okay.
Whereas mud mouth,
It's a little similar, but it's not mud mouth.
It's not. Mud mouth is like, there's still liquid in there. It's just more solidified.
Just all sounds very unappealing, and it sounds
I'm
like
so
we
sorry,
all
listeners.
need a drink.
Let's move on from mud mouth.
But don't drink it if you're working in a factory, because you'll get mud mouth.
Okay, and then lastly, in the episode of The Jungle Book, we said that it was potentially the longest gap between two animated films, and it is, but only by 2 months. So there was also a pretty big gap between Lady and the Tramp and Sleeping Beauty. They are both just under 4 years between each film. So it is the biggest gap. I think we did a be prepared. So yeah. And then the only other thing that I found was it's kind of a scar on all of us. It's a little, I'll say it's a scratch. We were very much saying Rudyard Kipling. And then
I did not.
okay, so Abigail and I get a scratch. Dang, leaving us out on the ledge. It's Rudyard, and we very much emphasized Rudyard. So, I don't know. It's probably not the biggest scar, but it's a little scratch.
He's coming for us.
He might be.
Isn't he
He's going
dead?
to haunt us. Okay, and so those are all of the scars and scratches that we found this week. So, good work, everyone.
Awesome. Let's jump back into our mailbag and the most important thing, which is you all, you lovely people.
It's all for you.
All for you.
Okay. So this time we kind of split up the mailbag into two sections of comments and then questions.
I like it.
So we're going to dive in with some comments.
First comment comes from Ian. Cruella's backstory. I have a theory that uses a detail that I've never come across anyone talking about. Cruella walks like a ballerina. Her feet point outward. I just see her as a washed-out, failed prima donna trying to maintain her youth and glory days by taking the lives of innocent animals and wearing them.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that backstory.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting to like look at the way she walks and then form an entire theory about that. And I love people that do that. Like everything I watch on YouTube is about people taking the tiniest detail and coming up with the most insane theory about something that will never come true.
Ian also said, King Louis's song, along with the racialized features of his characters, implies a hierarchy of races in which manness or whiteness is at the top and the other races can only want to be like you. This adds another level of anti-blackness since Louis wants to be like an Indian man cub, voiced by a white man.
I think we talked a lot about this last week, about kind of our struggle in seeing some of the instances of racism that kind of come out of the society at that time. But, I can definitely see where Ian's coming from.
Right, because I think we talked about how I just didn't even notice if King Louis had depictions like that. But even if like we disagreed with that, which I don't think we do, that's a wonderful metaphor to make with that, because that is what is happening in that movie is King Louis and the society that he lives in. He is less than because he is not man, and he thinks the only way he can get on top is to become man. So I completely see where he's coming from, too. I think that's a really interesting way to look at it.
Okay, the next message comes from Caitlin, who says, "Hey guys, love the podcast. I was just thinking about how you've mentioned the Twisted Tales books." Oh, Eli. "And I wanted to share one of my favorite book series, The Kingdom Keepers by Ridley Pearson. It's kind of old now, but it's all about Disney World, and if you haven't read it yet, I thought you'd enjoy it. Also, after listening to Sleeping Beauty, I was thinking about how Maleficent is the main villain of these books, which kind of goes back to how we were talking about how Maleficent kind of transcends Sleeping Beauty and is like the villain of all villains. So that's really interesting. And Eli, didn't you pick up this book?
Yeah, I have things to talk about with this. Abigail, you were actually with me.
Yeah, I was.
Abigail visited me at work, and we decided, hey, we're in a bookstore. Let's check this out. So Caitlin, our new friend, we went and I bought the first 3 books of Kingdom Keepers. In a normal world, I would have read all 3 in like a week and would report back to you. Something in my brain the last month or so is stopping me from like being the normal reader that I am. So I am like halfway through the first Kingdom Keepers book. I am enjoying it. If you like the Disney parks, it's amazing because it's literally about like the park coming to life after dark, and they're like holograms that they go when they go into sleep.
I'm waiting with bated breath.
I know.
For Eli to pass this on to me. And Caitlin, I have another suggestion for you. I don't have the details, so I might need to elaborate on this later. But did you know that Disney Plus is working on a series based on this group of explorers? It's kind of folklore. It's kind of like a story that is unique to the Disney parks of like this explorer group, and they're going to go to like different locations that are featured in the park, but they're going to go on adventures. I'll come back with more details.
Right. Okay.
But Caitlin, I got a recommendation for you. It's really exciting. It has to do with people who are so in love with the parks that we want to just get into that world whenever we can.
Exactly. From Nicole, she says, "I love your podcast, now catching up. I love the logo. You guys should make merch. I'd buy a shirt." She also says, "I see anything Disney, I automatically think of Idle Prattle podcasts." And she sent us like a couple of memes and stuff that were actually really hilarious, and maybe we'll share them.
Oh yeah, we should share them.
Thank you so much, Nicole. This is actually someone I know from high school. So
okay.
I was like, I know that. And so it was awesome to hear from you. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. We love making it and letting you hear it. The merch deal, we don't have anything in the works right now, but that would be great. And I just want to shout out Chris because the logo is all him.
Yeah.
He worked
Chris.
very hard on it.
Thanks, guys.
And he works just as hard on like the mini logos that we make for no reason, just because we enjoy them, especially me. I like to give Chris a bunch of ideas, but he carries them out. So I'm giving him all of the credit because he does the work. So if you guys love the logo or you want stuff, that was him.
Before we go and make merch, let's hear from you guys. If you would buy merch, let us know. You can let us know on Instagram, sending us an email, or on Facebook. What kind of merch would you like? And maybe that'll inspire us to get the ball rolling on that.
Ooh, fun.
All right, we got a message from Adina. She said, "Hot take, the Rodgers and Hammerstein music is better." Okay.
Well, that's like the sequel to her question. This or that.
Right. I think that I was in favor of the movie, and you two were in favor of the musical.
I'm going to agree with her statement because I
I also agree.
I do enjoy and listen to the soundtrack of Rodgers and Hammerstein, not only Brandy, but the Julie Andrews version, the like re-recorded, like I have like 3 different versions of the soundtrack and I adore them. And Impossible is like a complete bop. I love Bippity Boppity Boo, but like that's the biggest part of that movie to me, whereas Roger and Hammerstein entire, like each one I'm just like, I love this so much.
I agree.
Well, I don't, but I still like you, Adina.
Adina goes on to say, well done with the anti-Semitism conversation. Even as a Jew, I grew up in America and I'm a cis white person. So even I have a hard time understanding anti-Semitism in pop culture this way. I think you all explained it as well as I could have, and I think it will provoke thoughts from people listening who have never considered it. Abigail and Eli, you are so wonderful with your willingness to listen to what Chris brought up. Providing an analogy to queer coding is a great call. Well, thanks, Adina. I'm glad to hear that, and we will continue to try to see things that people bring up, even if we don't see them right away.
And that's such a thing I've noticed, is that anti-Semitism is something that people overlook and don't realize, even more, I think, than other issues. And it's wild to me because it's like the one thing that everyone agrees on, that Nazis were bad. You know what I mean? Like, that was awful. But then today's culture, it's just one of those things that you have to be wary of and like teach yourself on. And that's something that I personally am trying to work on a lot more, that you pointed out to me. I would have never even thought of it until you brought it up. So I'm glad that she shouted that out.
Yeah. I think another thing is that the work is never over. And by the work, I'm really talking about just being open to being educated about ways that you can grow and being respectful and understanding of other people's cultures, especially because we're less sensitive to things that don't affect us personally. Takes consistent compassion and humility to be that way. And there are some times where I still get caught in being not ethnocentric, I guess being ethnocentric, but being self-centered in the way that I look at the world. And so I'm really thankful that this podcast has given me an opportunity to delve into these subjects that are so important to more than just Disney movies. So yeah. All right. And then Adina says, thank you, Abigail, for going off on Emma Stone and casting people in musicals who can't sing. Yeah, I don't have really anything against Emma Stone. Am I going to go see her in Cruella? Yes. But I can't help it. Like, I just really am not a fan of her voice. And I get really frustrated that the whole world is like she got an award for this performance. And I can't listen to that soundtrack because her voice is so not supported by her breath. And it's just not anything impressive. I'm so sorry, Emma Stone.
Emma, I know you're listening, so
this
I just
is how
want to
I
say...
feel. I mean, and I'm not saying that like I'm so much better than her.
You're also not alone. I agree with you, Abigail.
I had the same. I missed La La Land during the hype. I watched it like a year or two after with Chris, actually. And so for me, I didn't have like the feeling of it. And so I was like, why are Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone in this part? Because I also love musicals. I don't have the same, ear for it as you. But I also was like, you could have got people that are singers, because I know that they are not.
I was like, I got out of La La Land and I was like, this is my favorite movie. It is. And then because I declared that, Jordan got me the CD and gotcha. I was listening to the CD over and over again. And I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Right. I agree. I don't mind it when I'm watching the movie because I feel like I'm getting the acting with it. So that's me.
Right.
But I do agree that I don't listen to the soundtrack much anymore because of this exact reason.
I never listened to the soundtrack after I watched it. So maybe I should like...
Who would you recast in La La Land?
Oh dear, that's a whole...
Oh my gosh, who can sing really well on the low?
But is like pretty young, like a 20.
Can Florence Pugh sing? Okay.
We just did about 5 minutes based on La La Land,
right.
which has nothing to do with anything. Okay.
Okay, next comment comes from Beverly. I'm really enjoying the addition of your ideas for rides at the theme parks. I would love to hear ideas for rides, food, etc. for each of your favorite movies, even if it is already represented well. Thanks for continuing to entertain, inform, and enlighten me. It just keeps getting better and better. Well, thank you, Beverly.
Thanks, Beverly.
And I agree. I think when we get to each of our favorite movies, because I don't think they have come yet, they will be coming up. When we get to each of our favorite movies, even if they're in the park, I think we should bring up if we have like a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best idea that you had for this.
Yeah, thank you, Abigail.
I've gotten that response from a few other listeners.
Me too.
So I'm glad that you said that. We'll bring it up. It'll naturally happen. We're going to get into an age that's literally called the dark age.
Right.
Where these rides aren't in the park. So we'll have plenty of opportunity to feature that again. So.
Very excited. All right, our next comment is from Josh. One Cinderella that was not mentioned but is freaking amazing is Ever After with Drew Barrymore. Eli, as always, I feel like I closely align with you. I love how you find the good in movies and their sequels. Josh has always agreed with me during these.
He really has.
And
But I have to say, I got to give Josh a little scar. That's right. Our first audience member scar. I can give it to him.
you're going to give it to my fan?
Well, he's
He's your friend, but he's my fan.
Okay. We did mention Ever After very briefly.
Very briefly.
But does anybody want to mention more about Ever After?
Angelica Houston is the stepmother, which anything Angelica Houston is in.
I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Okay.
And unless I just scarred myself in a huge way.
I don't know why this is the quote that comes to me when I think of Ever After, but I always think of Drew Barrymore going, I shall try.
I remember her wings. She has like fairy wings.
Oh,
at the
yeah.
end for some reason. It's like part of her outfit.
I haven't seen Ever After in 15 years, 16 years. So maybe I should rewatch it and then I'll be able to address it.
I'm a huge fan.
I honestly want to have like a Cinderella story marathon like at some point.
I love it.
And
I have
watch Hilary Duff 15 times.
I have a list on Letterboxd called Cinderella Stories, and it's ranking all of my favorite Cinderella movies.
See, I want to do that now, but I need to watch a few of them.
But as far as Ever After goes, that is a solid interpretation as far as I'm concerned.
So I'm so
excited
sorry,
to
Josh. We did not talk about it enough.
That's true.
But we did bring it up. And I like that you appreciate that I look for the good in movies, and especially their sequels, because I really do try to do that. So I'm bringing my nostalgia meter back because I tried to bring it down, and now Josh has validated me. So boom to you guys.
Oh God, Josh, what have you done?
He just undid all the work.
You've created a monster.
I think this next one's a good one for Abigail to read.
I agree that Poor Unfortunate Soul should not be someone who is dead. Funerals are not for the dead. They are for the living to cope with the loss.
Who said that?
Josh did.
My fan, Josh. Abigail, I think Josh just scarred you. Somehow he knew that you guys tried to scar him, and he just scarred you.
No. I didn't get scarred.
Did he not just say... Wait, what did he just say?
No, okay, listen.
Okay.
Every time that we come up with Poor Unfortunate Souls, you, like, a long time ago, you said... And it can't be a dead person. And Abigail, you're wrong. Can't be a dead person. So then I started to conform to that.
Right.
And then you started bringing up dead people for Poor Unfortunate Souls.
I brought up a dead whale.
And I said, you said they couldn't die, right?
Okay. I never said they couldn't. I said I think it shouldn't be. Sometimes there's not a better one.
And Josh is saying...
Okay, what is Josh saying?
That it shouldn't be.
Should not be someone that's dead.
Right.
I agree with him
because
No
I think what he's
mourners,
saying
no
is
funerals.
that funerals. I think at one point we said that the character who died shouldn't be the poor unfortunate soul because they will get a funeral and that's their.
Oh,
I'm
well,
pretty sure at
that's
some point
not.
we said that.
I didn't say
And I
that.
think that's why he said funerals.
This is my case.
That's not closure
for the
them.
death thing. My thing that started in Snow White is like we don't get the end of their story, and the last thing that we saw was something probably horrific. When someone dies, it's horrific, but we know what happened to them, and that's like the end of their story. But like, I made exceptions. Willie the Whale died, and I totally understand the quail the quail from Bambi. I get it. I just feel like the poor unfortunate soul still has a soul in their body when the movie's over. Oh. So that they are a poor unfortunate soul.
I see.
So because I mean, if maybe their soul went somewhere much happier when they died, so they're not poor and unfortunate anymore.
Well, one of you guys said the credenza guy, and he died.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I will stick to my own rule from now on.
Well, anyway, it's just fun, and it's what we made up on our own.
An arbitrary rule.
I appreciate that we're all getting into it.
Okay, the next one is from Kara, who says that she has been listening to the podcast a lot lately and just wants to let us know how much she is enjoying it. So, thank you, Kara.
I just want to let Kara know how much I enjoy her name, because that is Supergirl's name, and I love Supergirl, and I love Kara.
Is this a coworker or someone special?
Yes.
I think it is.
Oh,
I
okay,
believe
cool.
So. All right, from Meredith. Sleeping Beauty is one of my favorites and made me want to be a Disney artist when I was a kid. I could totally see that because the art in that is beautiful. I was actually talking to my mom today about it, and she was like really grateful for the podcast because she says as a kid, especially Sleeping Beauty, she never really thought about it. But as a kid, I always like pointed out animation and everything, and so it makes her see it differently. So I would totally, Sleeping Beauty being an inspiration for you to be an artist totally tracks, Meredith. I also wanted to be a Disney artist when I was a kid. I still want to be a Disney artist. It's like in the dream bubble of my head.
There's a class at the college that I work at called The Art of Disney's Pixar, and I definitely am gonna
Can you audit a class no?
I'm not gonna audit it. I'm gonna sneak into the I'm just gonna sneak in every day and be like, I'm a student. I know I'm 30, but I'm a student. All right. Savannah said, I'm so interested to see Emma Stone in the Cruella movie. Also, I agree with y'all. I wish there was more of this movie in the park. So I think we're talking about 101 Dalmatians.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
No, specifically Cruella. Why is the movie Cruella not in the parks enough?
My theory is that Disney is listening to us because Cinderella got onto Disney Plus. They did those little captions before the movies and those disclaimers. And so I think that we might see some 101 Dalmatians
It's gonna come soon, y'all.
If there's a dark ride,
I'm suing.
Right.
I don't care how much. I
Let
know
me tell
our
you.
podcast will never succeed after that, but
if
it's fine.
there is a puppy cuddle corner,
Exactly.
I'm not going to be mad at all. I'm just going to go and cuddle with puppies.
And then Dylan writes in, I haven't watched Cinderella in years, but I plan on watching in the next few weeks because of your episode. Because your episode made it sound a lot better than I remember. Thanks for hyping these up for me. You are welcome.
No problem.
Wait,
and
which
it
movie?
is amazing, Cinderella.
Cinderella.
It really is good. I was surprised at how much I like that one.
So our last comment actually is a collection of a lot of comments that we got from you all. We had several people write in about the kissing of the princes when it came to Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, and this conversation about consensual kissing when it had to do with somebody being asleep or unconscious. And we have had people write in from different perspectives. Some people have said that due to their personal experiences or because of their perspective on the issue, they have a serious problem with Snow White, both Snow White and Sleeping Beauty. We've also had people on the other end of the spectrum who believe that because of the time period that the movies were based in, that chivalry and this understanding of the intentions of these men made it so that the kissing was very innocent and was intended to be as innocent as it could be. So we appreciate everybody for giving your perspective on that issue. We always love for you to be a part of the conversation. So what are your thoughts on that? We've talked about it quite a lot. I think this will be the last bit on this conversation.
Sure. We also received 2 specific mailbags about this that weren't either end of the spectrum, but kind of more in the middle, where somebody said specifically Snow White, they were slightly more put off by than Sleeping Beauty. Mm-hmm. And it specifically had to do with the relationship that occurs throughout the film between the 2 characters. So I just kind of want to put that out there. We had both ends of the spectrum, and then we also had people that were like, I can kind of see it both ways depending on the situation. So I thought that was interesting as well.
Right.
My thoughts are honestly that I'm really glad that we got multiple sides from this, because I know that you guys, especially with Sleeping Beauty, it doesn't bother you as much. And I know that Abigail, you're the woman among us, and it doesn't bother you really at all in either case, right?
Right. And I will say that what I've said about this conversation several times is that I speak from my personal narrative. I speak from my experiences. And I think that because of who I am, I have the privilege of seeing this as innocent, whereas other people, unfortunately, are not able to do that. And it's kind of like this sad reality.
Yeah. People who've reached out to us,
right?
Which is just, which thank you for sharing all of your stories.
That is where that's kind of where I want to ride the line, because I feel like I am the most on the side of not liking it because of what it can trigger in people. And I just want to clarify that for me, like sitting here, I can tell you that it does not automatically suddenly upset me to see it, especially because I grew up with it. And it is fantasy. There's an argument to be made that, every piece of fiction is fantasy, so you can let everything slide, but that it causes a lot of messiness. But the point I'm trying to make is I want to be as empathetic as I can be, because I know that I have a tendency to not be, that I can have a low self-awareness sometimes, and that I come from my very privileged point of view because I am a white man who can pass as straight if I want to. I have to work even harder and listen when my friends tell me this upsets me. So I come straight from their point of view because I have to. I feel like as my job, because for so long, no one has been listening to their voices. And if my voice can be lended to that and it affects other people, then I'm going to use it. It is a hard line to walk. I completely understand the point of view of it being like a chivalrous thing and it being of its time and it being a fairy tale. It's just that not everyone has the luxury of feeling that way when they see this.
And I also think that speaking towards this concept of chivalry, it also is helpful, I think, to our culture to showcase to children the truest nature of what chivalry is. I think we see a really great example of that in Frozen when we see this juxtaposition of Hans versus Kristoff, whereas Hans is displaying this kind of facade of chivalry. And Kristoff is really showing us what the true nature of being chivalrous is. And we especially see that in Frozen 2, where we see that Kristoff is showing what being a man is, which is supporting your partner no matter what they decide to do and being there for them when they need you. And so I think that's like Disney is working really hard to not lose this concept of chivalry, but delve deeper into it,
I love that. He's just lost in the woods, y'all.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
We're going to transition a little bit more. We have a couple more mailbags, not too many left, but these are some questions from you guys.
Okay, our very first question comes from Stella. And just to let everyone know, Stella is a 5-year-old girl who happens to be my niece. So
Happens to be the cutest child.
my favorite little
Ever. Cute.
She says, why does Gorilla DeVille only like the black and white dogs? Because she, as in Stella, likes all dogs.
That is a great question, Stella.
I don't think Gorilla DeVille likes dogs at all. I think she's mean towards all dogs, and so I don't like Gorilla DeVille.
Yeah, just to clarify, Stella, Gorilla DeVille, she doesn't really like the black and white dogs. But to answer your question in a more direct way, she likes the black and white dogs because they have a style and a pattern that she is drawn to. The spots. She likes the way that looks. So that's why she only likes them.
I like it when I like the dogs themselves. I agree with
Yes.
you. What is your favorite kind of dog, Chris?
A golden doodle.
A golden doodle. What's your favorite?
I'm very much like basic. I like a golden retriever, lab, movie dog.
I don't care what kind of dog it is as long as they're soft and cuddly.
Thank you for that question, Stella. Love you.
All right, the next question is from Amy. Abigail, oh, that's me. Do you do karaoke? You mentioned in Lady and the Tramp episode that He's a Tramp and Poor Unfortunate Souls are the only songs altos have to choose from, and I would beg to differ. I'd love to alto out with you at some Disney karaoke sometime. And I just say to you, Amy, let's do it. I relish the opportunity of singing Disney music as often as possible. And even when things are completely outside of my range, I put them in my range.
I sing everything outside of my range.
Exactly. I sing things under, over, through my range.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't even know what my range is.
I would say maybe what I intended to say was He's a Tramp and Poor Unfortunate Souls fit really nicely into Abigail's range. Right. But I want to see your repertoire book so that we can like compare the songs we'll sing for karaoke.
Amy goes on to ask, do you have a Disney karaoke song of choice? I think I've only done Disney karaoke twice. Once was with Abigail. Yeah. We sang a duet. We sang Love is an Open Door at Geeksboro.
No, we didn't. We sang, and at last I
we
see
sang,
the light.
At last I see the light.
Wow.
I know. I don't know what just happened.
Apparently it wasn't as meaningful to you as it was to me.
Oops. But I think my go-to karaoke song is Go the Distance from Hercules.
My go-to is probably going to be A Whole New World as a duet with someone, because I love to sing karaoke and I love to sing in front of people if someone is there for me to like freak out on, because I get weird about it.
And I would say Colors of the Wind, which is outside of my range, or Poor Unfortunate Souls, which I can camp up.
Right. So Beverly asks, if you had a chance to ask one animator, writer, musician, singer, voice actor, Walt himself, or other person involved in the movies of the Silver Age, who would you ask and what would the question be?
Whoa.
Right.
I gotta say Mary Blair.
I do declare. I was like, declare. If we don't say Mary Blair.
Mary Blair. Nobody sang that with me.
Sorry, I was distracted. What would you ask her?
I would ask her everything. No, I would probably want to know which character design was her favorite to come up with.
I would choose Ivan Earle, who was the artist for Sleeping Beauty, who did all of those elaborate backgrounds, because I think he's one of the most unique animators. I also would want to talk to Bill Peet. I guess I want to talk to all these people that had bad run-ins with Disney. But other than Disney himself, I think that those guys definitely were inspired and brought a lot to this era of Disney.
I would choose Peggy Lee from Lady and the Tramp, and my question would be, how very dare you?
Oh, that's a good one.
All right, so Amy asked, do you think Disney needs another dog-based film?
Have you seen Bolt, Amy? They had it. They ran with it. It choked.
They had Oliver and Company, which is coming up. Aristocats is Cats.
I think she means like now.
Like, should they make a new one?
No.
I think we have enough.
I'm not gonna say a hard no, because I feel like there has to be someone out there that's like thinks of Disney and thinks of dog movies, so maybe they're clamoring for a dog movie.
My huge campaign right now is for an African princess. Mm-hmm. Like, I want like a very true, pretty much exactly who Lupita Nyong'o is in Black Panther.
Yes.
Just a whole narrative around her. That is like my diehard campaign. And so if they make another dang dog movie, instead of doing that, I'm going to be livid.
That's great. Great question. All right, next we have a question from Helga. In regards to the Native Americans in Peter Pan, isn't the story set in London? I'm wondering why a British story would include American natives. Is Neverland America? The natives they encountered during colonization? Do the British people see Americans as children? Immature and ignorant to the seriousness of a mature country with a long history? Then again, maybe it's just a story with a random antagonist. Just wondering. That's a great question. I hadn't thought about that because this is a very British story, but there are American natives. Very strange.
My mind honestly goes to it's a random fairy tale-esque type of deal. Because, as I said in the episode, it's like mermaids and pirates. And at that time, pirates were like a romanticized fairy tale type myth. And I think that, honestly, Native Americans, especially the way they're portrayed, are portrayed the same way, as if they are no longer here and have their culture. Instead, they're like a myth from years before. And they're just added in there as a lump sum of characters. And
also, just speaking, like, at that time, it was just super popular for young boys to...
Cowboys and Indians.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that honestly, as much as I love finding deeper meanings of things, I think this is chalk it up to, that was just a fun culture of people to play as and use for different things. And that, unfortunately, but that's what we got.
I think that I also got into the conversation with a lot of people after the Peter Pan episode about how if they're in Neverland, saying Americans at all is not, they never are referred to as Native Americans, which is what we would respectfully call people who are indigenous to America. Because they are in Neverland, which is a fantasy land that isn't America. That being said, I do think that it's fair to point out that the way that these characters are created is clearly related to Native Americans, even though they're not called that.
Right.
Yes,
That's obviously
completely.
what they're being depicted as.
Josh asked, if you could take the main character from one of these films and drop them into another film from this age, who would you choose? I would choose Merlin, and I would put him in Alice in Wonderland because I think that he would be very comfortable there.
Yeah, he would. He really would.
I would take Archimedes and put him in Sleeping Beauty and make him the owl that wanted to be with Aurora.
That's funny. Sorry.
Well, I was listening and like Abigail mentioned that. I was re-listening to Sleeping Beauty when Abigail said that owl wanted to be with Aurora. I just cracked up. And I just thought about how Archimedes reminds me of it.
Right. There was.
So I'm going to pluck him in there, kick that owl out, and put him in there, and just let your imagination fly.
I'm going to take Nana, pluck her out of Peter Pan, and put her in either of the dog movies, where she would be much happier not serving humans.
Even if she's in the pound?
Well, okay, no. I didn't say in the pound.
You didn't specify where you're putting her in the movie,
Okay,
so she could end up in the pound.
We could have put her in a ditch.
Okay, no. I'm going to put her in Lady's Home, and in this version of my story that I get to make up.
Is she just Lady now?
No, they just also adopt Nana.
Okay.
And they don't make her serve.
Poor Nana.
Unless she's serving Luke's.
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 Lewks.
Nana is serving looks in that.
She is.
She's a fierce queen. All right. Our final question comes from Dylan. I recently got caught up on your podcast because 101 Dalmatians used to be a favorite of mine. I think this movie was one of the first that really nailed the comedy aspect of Disney. I rewatched recently and laughed a lot more than I thought I would. Do you think these movies are getting funnier as they become more recent?
Yes.
It's hard because I think the Bronze Age and the Dark Age that we're getting into is one of my like blind spots when it comes to Disney. So I don't want to say a definitive yes right now because those might not be as funny. I just don't remember in my head right now. But I think for sure with 101 Dalmatians we were getting into like comedy that they were like perfectly had out. It's not like slapsticky anymore. It's not purely cartoon humor. But it's like smart humor and like they're like nailing certain things with animation and jokes and stuff. I see what you're saying completely. It is so 101 Dalmatians really like threw me off of how much I appreciated it and loved it. So I'm glad that you also saw that.
I think that there are several different types of humor, and we have this kind of the now humor, current humor, trendy humor that sometimes it was happening in earlier movies and it happens in 2020 movies. We also might see that in humor about like babies' butts being spanked, which was funny in Pinocchio, but it's not really funny to us now. So I think there's like humor that doesn't sell as well when you move out of the time period. Then I think you have this timeless humor. I think that humor can be timeless and it can be hilarious, not counting age at all. But I do think that there's certain jokes that land more and certain jokes that don't land as much. And I think that the more that a movie uses timeless humor rather than trendy humor, the more that we're able to laugh at it no matter which era it's in.
We talked a little bit about that way back in Bambi, and I've never been able to like let it go. And it's why the Raya trailer threw me off because we talked about how there's a difference between kids movies and children family movies, and ever since then I've been like, oh, and then like so like that's I feel like timeless goes with children family movies, and then trendy goes with kids movies.
Well, and there's a payoff for trendy humor because it's usually the thing that is most quoted or beloved in that moment.
It'll make some money.
But as far as like longevity of a movie, you have to have a healthy mixture of both. Like Moana, I think, has a healthy mixture of both.
Yes, it does.
It did have both elements.
We also had a ton of comments, and I mean like the most comments.
I got 4 different messages about this.
I had so many, and like our Instagram, it's blowing up. All about Abigail.
And
they want you gone.
Everyone hates you.
They don't like it.
I'm just kidding. They all love you. They adore you.
Adored by every time you open your mouth to sing.
Yeah.
People have like gushed over you to me.
Especially the Cinderella episode. Like,
yeah, that's
people
like
were
when it
like,
started.
people were like, this needs to happen in every episode that has songs. Y'all need to sing. Abigail needs to sing.
Lucas specifically like has requested a cover album by
Idol
you.
Prattle cover.
Right. He wants like everything. Everyone loves it when you burst into song and the way that you sing everything. So that's not gonna stop, guys. And I read between the lines, and I know you meant me too. So I'm going to keep on singing too, guys. It's going to happen. So
I think that one day we should make... You guys have no idea how good these other two, their voices are. And I think that because we all love to sing, we should do something about it.
Right. Because like when I sing here, it's like silly.
Yeah.
I never like try to... I don't know.
And our family guest is also a great singer, Jordan Hutt.
Oh,
right, yeah. I was like, who do you talking about?
A little foursome.
Yep. I think that would be great.
Yeah, so we just wanted to sing your praises for your singing there for a second.
Well, thanks everybody for writing in and sending us those questions. We really love hearing from you guys, so thank you so much.
You have no idea.
We just love y'all.
We're so lonely without you.
Let me squeeze a tiny thing in here because we got like a legit mailbag, a physical mailbag. Chris unwrapped something today from
oh my gosh,
that someone got him
based on this podcast. I got a gift from the podcast from a listener. I mean, it's from a family member, but still.
Yes. They're still a listener, and we're going to count it. Do you want to share what you got today?
Yeah. If our listeners recall back to Peter Pan, I went on a slight tangent about the Once Upon a Time version of Captain Hook and how handsome he is and how he's my Spike. Spike is from Buffy. And how just obsessed I am with him. And
I believe you said you would like a poster of him hung up on your wall.
Yes, you're right, Eli. I did say that I would like a poster of him on my wall. And then today, Eli's mom got me a poster of him.
A big poster.
A framed poster.
A wonka.
I know. And I told Eli, I said, this is going above our bed.
Oh my gosh!
Ceiling.
On the ceiling. Just kidding. I would never do that. But I thought it was so cute. Thank you so much because...
We're definitely going to post a picture of you holding it.
Oh,
yes.
It's the most, like, sultry look. He's just looking straight into the camera in this photo, this poster, and it's just like, what?
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
It is.
And she specifically said, she was like, well, in the podcast, you mentioned how much you love him and how much you have always wanted a poster of him. So I just thought it would be a fun gift. And I was like, this is fun. This will be fun for a long time.
You have no idea how fun it is.
Our first official physical mailbag, I'm going to call it.
Thank you so much. All right, so we're going to do kind of a lightning round of some of our favorites from the Silver Age. So let's start with favorite song.
My favorite song was You Can Fly, You Can Fly, You Can Fly from Peter Pan.
You can fly, you can fly. You mean you liked the song from the racist movie?
Lightning round.
Okay.
Lightning round, no questions.
Mine was I Want to Be Like You from The Jungle Book.
And I guess I want to be like you because mine was I want to be like you.
What?
Whoa. That's wild.
Oh,
Cool.
yeah.
All right, who was your favorite character overall?
Easy for me, Merryweather from Sleeping Beauty.
Y'all are going to be mad at me because it's the character I didn't pick.
Oh,
Sorry.
what?
It's Maleficent.
You backtracked on that. Well, I'm taking the Maleficent card away, and for some reason, I don't know why, but good old Sergeant Tibbs has taken the lead for me.
wow.
He's such a
I love
cool cat. All right, which movie holds up the best to you guys?
For me, it was 101 Dalmatians.
101 Dalmatians to me, 101%.
Oh, I will third that. 101 Dalmatians.
Stamp of approval.
Change approved. All right. And then just a real quick, we are going to rank just these 8 movies so that y'all can hear where they land. Bottom to top from 8 to 1. Lightning round.
Lightning round. Okay. For me, it goes at the bottom, Lady and the Tramp, then Peter Pan, then Sword in the Stone, then Jungle Book, then Alice in Wonderland, then 101 Dalmatians, and closely for number 2 and number 1 is Sleeping Beauty, and my number 1 is Cinderella.
Okay, mine is number 8, Peter Pan, followed by Lady and the Tramp at number 7, Sword in the Stone at number 6, The Jungle Book at number 5, 101 Dalmatians at number 4, Alice in Wonderland at number 3, Cinderella at number 2, and Sleeping Beauty at number 1.
Right. I got number 8, Lady and the Tramp. Number 7, The Jungle Book. Number 6, Peter Pan. Number 5, Alice in Wonderland. Number 4, Sword in the Stone, where it belongs. Number 3, 101 Dalmatians. Number 2 is Sleeping Beauty. And I'm sticking with it. Number 1 was number 1 of the Silver Age, Cinderella.
Cinderella wins!
All right. Okay, so we like to take this moment in our mailbags to kind of quickly discuss some Disney current events. So
I'm excited.
if you are listening the day this comes out, get ready because
Tomorrow.
a big thing is happening, especially for this podcast.
Yes.
The 59th Disney film is coming out tomorrow.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Is that the... What is this?
That's
The Raya song.
Oh,
Do-
gotcha. I didn't know what was happening. I'm sorry.
Raya and the Last Dragon is coming out tomorrow. You better be there. Be square or be square. Don't be square. Be there.
It is coming out in theaters and on Disney Plus on March 5th.
So sad that we won't see it in the theater, but I'm very excited to see it. We are probably most definitely going to watch it together.
Oh, yes.
And I think if we can swing it, we'll have a little like short review, gut reaction bonus episode for you guys in the next few.
And from this moment on, we will now be saying the 59 Walt Disney animated features.
It's official. I just want to talk about the Cruella trailer just a bit. We like sprinkled her in throughout this, but that came out like a week ago or so. What you guys think? Are you excited? Emma Stone, what are your thoughts?
I'm super pumped for it. I think it looks like it's going to be a fun movie.
I am cautiously optimistic.
I am not as cautiously because I got too pumped when I saw it. I am very excited. It looks like it has a potential for me personally to be better than Maleficent because I really like Maleficent. So yeah. I'm excited. I like her accent. I think it actually sounds really good.
She just shouldn't sing.
Well, I don't think she will.
Hopefully she won't.
Okay. In the past week, we watched the Golden Globes, and we just wanted to make a shout out for Soul,
Sal.
which is
Sal.
Thanks, Tracy Morgan. We're talking about our Pixar fam on the other side of the pond. That sounds like they're in
pond.
London.
The Pixar pond.
They so just a shout out to Pixar. They won the Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature. Now let's see if they can snag the Best Animated Feature Oscar.
I think they can.
I feel like family guest Jordan is so torn because Wolf Walkers was against it, and he seemed very happy with that movie. So Soul deserves it though.
Yeah.
Okay, another big current event. We posted about this on social media, but I think this is so astounding. We recorded the Peter Pan episode, and in that episode we talked about how we don't think that this movie holds up and would we let our children watch this, and that we're happy that there was the disclaimer before the movie. And that episode came out, and 2 days after the release of our episode, Disney Plus announced that they were removing that film entirely from the children's section, which I thought was wild. It's like they heard our episode and said, they're making some good points, and then just followed suit. So yeah, Peter Pan, Dumbo, a few others have been removed, not entirely. You're still able to watch them.
Accessible.
They are accessible, but they are removed from the children's section. So that way, young children who are perusing Disney Plus, if you have a child-only account, they are not going to be able to see these movies because, and this is what we've been saying for a while, a lot of us, I don't want to speak for both of you, but
you are.
At some point, probably one of the three of us, depending on the movie, have said we would show it to our children, our hypothetical children, if there was a discussion with it.
Right.
So this move, I think, is brilliant. It keeps the movie accessible. If you want to show it to your child, that's awesome. But the parent is making the adult is making the choice. So
I'm surprisingly cool with this like compromise, I guess you could call it, because I've said from the beginning that I would want to watch it with them and be able to talk about it during it. So I think the accessibility is important because I don't think it should be completely taken away from being able to watch it. But I like the fact that the adult that needs to have the conversation with the child can control that conversation and have the discussion.
Another quick thing, Disney Plus related, is that there is a new animated series called Chip 'n Dale Park Life. I have not watched it yet, but it looks super cute.
Sounds like something I'm going to be massively interested in
okay.
and have no idea
I think
about.
it's in the style of the new Mickey shorts.
It's
it's
in
like
the
in
same
that
exact style of that, with
Never
the
mind.
new Mickey animation. But it is starring Chip 'n Dale, and I think it looks pretty cute. So be on the lookout for that if you love some Mickey Mouse universe characters.
Speaking of Chip 'n Dale, I've heard like rumblings though that there's also going to be a Chip 'n Dale like feature film.
There is,
coming
starring
out.
Andy Samberg and somebody else.
That's all the information we have.
It's like Alvin and the Chipmunks, but Disney-fied.
Hopefully not.
That's what it sounds like. Also, just
so
so
sad.
we all know, I thought when you said Chip 'n Dale Park Life that it was going to be like
About the parks.
I thought it was going to be about the Disney parks, and I thought they were going to follow Chip and Dale, like the characters,
Right.
around as they visited, like did meet and greets
I
in
would
the
watch
park.
that.
Because I pretty much watch that from an Instagrammer
Okay.
every day. Okay, anyway,
And something I'm very excited about is that Villainous, the board game that we talk about on here, that some of you may not know, but you should. We love this game. The four of us play all the time. The four of us, I mean Jordan included. It is like my favorite board game. It came out with an expansion earlier this week on Sunday. In our group chat, it was told a few days ago and somehow I missed it. And so I got a sweet surprise on Sunday by not only finding out there was a new Villainous, but that I got to get it that day. And I went to Target, bought that baby, and it features Gaston, Lady Tremaine, and the Horn King.
it's so interesting. I kind of love these like we've talked about this before, but they do like a really main villain, then they do like a middle known villain, and then like a deep seed villain, like one that very few people know. And I kind of love those
Me
because
too.
it's like they're just so
It's a little something for everyone.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it is. I'm not mad about it. I just was hoping and praying for Madame Mim, and I still think we're gonna
She's
get
coming.
her. She's coming. I still think we're gonna get him. People want Madame Mim and Madame Medusa so bad. The Horn King piece is amazing. It's like one of my favorite pieces, so I will say that. And I'm very excited to watch Black Cauldron very soon so that I can appreciate this. And because I love Villainous, and he is a Disney villain, so I'm okay with it. I just was surprised.
And just like we thought Disney was listening to us based on the restrictions of movies, we also think Disney was listening to us when we begged for Cinderella, the Brandy Whitney Houston version, to come to Disney Plus. And on Chris's birthday, like magic, it appeared on Disney Plus, and the three of us promptly watched it.
We really did.
We did.
And cried our eyes out, or at least I did, because it was so beautiful. And are planning to watch it about 1,000 more times before.
It came out
year's
1
up.
month after our episode was released. I mean, coincidence? I think not.
We had a really interesting, because it was literally on your birthday, and it was like the universe just gave us something to do for your birthday because you wanted it low-key, and somehow we got Brandy, Cinderella, and a new episode of WandaVision, and we got to hang out with friends and eat some dinner and watch both of those. It was great.
So that about wraps it up for our mailbag. We are exiting the Silver Age, but after a short break, a couple weeks off, we will be returning with the Bronze Age.
We're going to be so tan.
Wow.
And this is a much shorter age compared to the Silver Age, so
Right.
it won't last as long. What's in the Bronze Age?
So, the Bronze Age includes the Aristocats, Robin Hood, the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and the Rescuers.
I have not seen 2 of those movies,
So, this is going to be interesting.
so I'm very excited.
I have like a special place in my heart for 2 of these movies, so
Oh, yeah, me too.
I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I think yours is different though, because I think yours is maybe Robin Hood.
No, it's Rescuers
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Still, what's the other one?
and Robin Hood.
Because mine is the other 2. So it's just interesting because we have like
I'm excited because I think this is the first time that I have not seen a movie. No, the wartime era.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
I know it's hard to count the wartime era. It's like it's the first feature length.
The first
film that you've not
feature length
seen.
film that I have not seen.
The
appears in the
Rescuers
Bronze Age.
and the Rescuers Down Under have been like a blind spot for you that I've been trying to get with it. So
RESCUE, Rescue Aid Society.
What's that?
Heads held high, touch the sky. You mean everything to me.
blind spot for me too because I don't know what that was.
Oh boy.
We'll get
Well,
there.
we'll see.
I would say we will get
coming
there.
up.
But before we get to whatever that was and the Rescuers, we got to get to the Aristocats, which I love. And I swear, if it's anything like we were excited for Lady and the Tramp and it's just as bad, I'm going to cough up a hairball because I'm so excited for Aristocats.
Which is coming
Next
Yeah.
time we... 'cause,
in an undisclosed amount of time, which we will announce on social media.
Right.
Yeah.
We usually take a break. We're going to see what we do with Brian and the Last Dragon, but the next movie that we are covering in the next main episode will be The Aristocats, so we can't wait for you guys to listen.
Yay.
As always, you can continue to send us mailbag submissions, questions, comments. We love hearing from you guys. We really do. And we just really appreciate all of your support. So thank you. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook. Just search for Idle Prattle Podcast. And you can email us at idleprattlepodcast@gmail.com.
And as always, don't underestimate the importance of the Rescue Aid Society and
Body language.
Arrivederci.